In the time before waking, beneath veils of forgetting, she wandered. She had no name, only ache. No destination, only drift. The world she had once known dissolved like mist, and what remained was a hollow sky inside her chest. All she carried were silent questions and the dust of former dreams, the relics of a self she no longer recognized. She had crossed the threshold, not by will, but by the sacred wound that opens the soul. She arrived not by map, but by breaking. The path cracked open beneath her like an eggshell. She fell inward, into the space between stories. There, in a realm untouched by clocks, she found the garden. Or perhaps the garden found her. For sacred spaces always recognize their pilgrims. And within it, she, the weaver, cloaked in breath and seed. A being both tender and vast, whose gaze held the memory of stars before they burned. "Who are you?" the wanderess whispered. The weaver did not answer with words, but with gaze ancient, sorrowful, merciful, a gaze that reflected the soul she had forgotten she carried. "You are not lost," she said, "only listening. You are being undone so that you may be reformed by what is true." And the wanderess wept. For all she had clung to was ash in her hands. The illusion of control, the borrowed names, the hollow mirrors. Thus began the dark alchemy. The ego melting, the false self unraveling. The sacred womb of nothing. The holy ground where all true transformation begins. There was no more striving. In silence, the soil spoke. In stillness, her wounds shimmered with messages. Each scar became a scripture, each ache an unopened scroll of the soul. The weaver gave her no answers, only a seed, small, luminous, carved from stardust and memory, encoded with the blueprint of her forgotten self. "This," the weaver said, "is your forgotten promise. Plant it, not in certainty, but in trust." "But I don't know how to grow anything anymore." "You don't need to," said the earth. "You only need to stay. For the feminine path is not about building, but about receiving. About surrendering to rhythms deeper than thought." And so she stayed. She tended, not by knowing, but by allowing. By learning the sacred art of not resisting. She watched the moon's slow cycles, felt grief soften into depth, felt shame dissolve into clarity, felt time become nonlinear, spiraling instead of rushing. The elements became her sisters. Air taught her breath, the return to presence. Water taught her feeling the truth beneath numbness. Fire taught her courage, the devotion to show up. Earth taught her waiting, the faith to root before rising. She began to remember, not the past, but her essence beyond time. She was not broken. She was becoming. Time passed in spirals. The seed bloomed not into a flower, but into a new self, not a version, a revelation. She was no longer the wanderess. She was the gardener, then the keeper, then the mirror, reflecting the light in all who came near her. She looked into the pond of clear sight, and saw the weaver was not separate. She was the weaver, and always had been. She had mistaken forgetting for loss. But all along, the soul had waited, patient, eternal, whole. Every thread of sorrow had led her here. Every fall was a descent into womb space, not death, but gestation. Every silence was a prayer. Every heartbreak, an initiation. She rose, her hair silvered with starlight, her hands fragrant with soil. "I remember now," she whispered. "I am the one who tends, not out of duty, but out of love." And her laughter danced across dimensions. A song older than sound. Gentle thunder that called all sleeping seeds to stir. She weaves still, not for power, not for proof, but for beauty, for becoming, for the unending birth of the world through love.